Hello, welcome everyone to Geek Girl Con 2021. For those of you who may not know us, I am Mendoza Landa. My pronouns are he, him. I am one half of the co-host on the Straight Ahead Animation podcast. I am Mexican-American storyboard artist working at Warner Bros. Animation. I'm currently situated in the corner of my office surrounded by these blue and gray sound panels, rocking my favorite blue floral shirt and try not to let my headphones ruin my bed hair that I have going on here with my little swoop. But that's me.
And I'm Yuki Okamura-Wong, the other half of our whole host. My pronouns are she, her. I'm half Japanese, half Chinese. My hair is black with the bottom half bleach blonde. I'm wearing a t-shirt with a skateboarding python and it says tubular, and I'm wearing a gray blazer. To the left of me are way too many plushies, and to the right of me are way too many books.
We quickly want to thank the Twitch audience for tuning in, as well as thanking Alyssa Askew and Marina Martinez, and also the other Alyssa that's also on this call for setting this up. We are so excited to be hosting this panel, Straight Ahead, My First Steps in the Animation Industry, and we are having a roundtable discussion with these three amazing and talented women.
And with that said, may our individuals introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Samia Khalaf, and I am in a white room because I just moved to this new apartment and I have no artwork or anything hung up on the wall. And I'm wearing a cozy brown jacket with a white t-shirt and a red bandana. And my pronouns are she, her, and I am a concept artist.
Oh, and your ethnicity, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. And I'm Lebanese Palestinian. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey guys, I'm Stephanie Rizo. I'm a character designer and story artist. I'm Mexican American and queer woman. What else was it? Oh, I am in my brother's room temporarily because I'm with my parents' house, so it's filled with 14, 15-year-old teen stuff. I'm wearing a white t-shirt with like a graphic tee with some clouds. I have curly hair, wearing glasses, and what else was there? I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, my pronouns are she and her.
Yeah. And I guess that leaves me. Hello, everyone. My name is Li Cree. My pronouns are she, her as well. I am Black, Puerto Rican, Cherokee, and white mixed, something American. I'm a 2D animator and storyboard artist. I currently work over at Titmouse on Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3. And I'm currently in my bedroom. Behind me is my bed with a lot of plushies, some posters, a lot of manga and anime figurines. So I think that says a lot about my personality. I have long, thick black hair, and I'm currently wearing a black and white checkered shirt.
Awesome.
Yeah, excellent. And we also have our editor, Ashley Itleong, with us. She'll be around the Twitch chat to answer some general questions if you guys have any.
Hi, this is Ashley. I'm not visually on the screen, but I also use she, her pronouns. I'm Filipino American. I'm a freelance editor, and as Yuki said, one of the editors for the Straight Ahead Animation podcast. And my handle is ashbash7. So if you see me in the Twitch chat, I may be sending messages to help answer any quick questions. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Yay. Perfect. Well, before we jump into our roundtable discussion, we're going to start off the way we always do on Straight Ahead with a fun little icebreaker called In Between. We're going to give you two similar choices, and then you have to choose in between the two of them, and then let us know why you guys are. It's not going to be that bad. And if you're watching or listening along on Twitch, you can play along in the chat. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you rather discover Treasure Planet like Jim Hawkins in Treasure Planet, or would you rather uncover the lost world of Atlantis like Milo Thatch in Atlantis, the Lost Empire? And let's go in order, or whoever wants to jump in first.
Damn, that's hard. They're all really cool.
It's a thinker, isn't it?
Oh, you
Yeah.
knew what both of them were this time.
What? Yes.
See, for me, it's
Um,
easy. I am actually scared
Okay.
of the ocean and like deep water, so I'm just gonna go with the planet. I would rather be high up in the sky with clouds
Oh,
just the sun. Yeah.
space pirate Samia.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, so that's one for discovering Treasure Planet.
Yes.
Okay.
Lee, you seem to be struggling there.
In true fashion,
I-
I'm stumped.
I think I would do Atlantis. Like
Oh,
my first was
okay.
Treasure Planet, but Atlantis just because like I'm forgetting her name, but the girl, one of the
Oh,
characters.
Kita?
Well, yeah, Kita.
Right.
Like,
Oh, yeah, you're
she's
right.
really cool, and just like learning or like riding one of those like
Like the fish.
what is it, like
thing.
motorcycle fish thing? Like,
Yeah.
that was really cool. So those are my reasons.
That is a cool vehicle, but counter that point, that opening scene with Jim just riding on that little hover like surfboard
Yeah.
thing, that's also pretty
Uh-huh.
dope. I
I
would
know that's what I was
true.
thinking.
I would
too,
want one of
so,
those.
Yeah.
Man, so the tiebreaker's left up to me.
All right,
Yeah,
tiebreaker.
the tiebreaker is
Lee.
this is what happens
Oh
when
my
you
God.
when you're indecisive.
No, it's not that I'm indecisive. I just want both.
You just want
Exactly. Exactly.
This is what describes indecisiveness. I think I have to go with Atlantis because the princess. When I first saw her as a kid, I was like, "Oh my god, she looked like me!"
Oh,
So cute.
Yeah.
Despite like the white hair and blue eyes and stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's close enough.
it was like a brown woman existing
was like-
in a Disney property.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, that's just not fair because Treasure Planet has some really great character design.
Mm,
Yeah.
Like
That's
That's
damn,
fair.
it's tough.
I
But
mean-
I think I have to go with Atlantis.
okay.
Oh wow. Okay. What about you, Yuki? What have you gone with?
I don't know. I mean, I love Long John Silver. Wait, that's his name, right? Long John Silver.
Yeah.
Yeah. he's just a big dude with a mechanical arm. I think he's so cool.
He was really cool.
Oh, there's also Captain Amelia there, I guess too. I would probably go with Treasure Planet.
Yes.
So Ray, you're the tiebreaker.
Like this is a really hard question, but also before this, I had to tell Ray, I was like, I love this question because I didn't watch Treasure Planet when it first came out, and I kept
Mhm.
getting confused with a different film called Titan AE, which was like
Oh.
the two main characters look very similar, but they're
Mhm.
totally different films. And I was like, this
Mhm.
is so weird.
Mhm.
That's a blast from the past.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's a weird movie.
Oh man.
Okay, Ray, well, what is it?
I gotta go with Treasure Planet. It's space.
Oh.
Dang.
I
Dang.
had faith in you.
I get to ride a pirate
Let's go.
ship. A pirate ship is a spaceship. Like how
It is
cool
really
is
cool.
that?
Yeah.
It is really
But like
But
Atlantis, you guys
Atlantis.
like the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
flying-
Atlantis is
The
on Earth.
glowy
It's down in the
stuff.
ocean. I know it's there, but I don't
yeah,
know what's in
that's true, yeah.
space.
I'm not
They're
like
both the same.
talking Atlantis either. It's like you said, Lee, they're both good.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And
It's tough.
underrated.
Yes,
They're both underrated,
severely.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, this was so great. I'm glad we got to stump some of you or like see you guys struggle. That's always the best part of doing in between. So thank you to our amazing guests for playing in between with us, and thank you to the Twitch audience who's been playing along as well. You are all wonderful. So now that we're all warmed up, let's jump into the roundtable discussion. We'll go one by one, but could each of you tell us how you first broke into the animation industry?
And then we'll go in order that we were introduced. So Samia, go ahead and
Mhm.
first.
Yeah, so I was on the last semester before I graduated, and one of my teachers recommended me to this small animation studio in Daly City here in the Bay Area, because they were looking for an intern at the time, and I went there, I interviewed. It was so scary. I was freaking out. And at the end of the interview, they like took me out and like had me like meet everyone. I was so confused because I was like, wait, why am I meeting everyone? What's happening? I thought this is an interview, but now I'm like saying hello and being friends with people. And I get an email like a few hours later. They're like, hey, we really want to hire you. And that was my first job as a 2D animator. And I was lucky enough to work alongside a French animator who was like amazing at animating 2D, anything out of her head. Like she doesn't even need reference. She just like can visualize everything in 3D. So she like taught me all these like flash animation tricks, but also like anatomy and like how to like respond to like notes and feedback from like my leads. And then I was there for a while. And then after that, I moved on to more jobs. But that was my first introduction, and she was the sweetest person. We're still friends till this day.
That's so great. And then just really quickly as well, like when you were applying for this, you were also like an international student. So like that was also a process for the studio as well when bringing you on initially.
Yeah, they needed to. I needed to be upfront with them that I will need sponsoring after a year. So that's like a whole other situation that I can talk about. But it's very complicated, very confusing, very stressful. So anyone who's an international student trying to get a job in the US, good luck. It's not easy. And like, I know everyone's doing their best, and it's like this, sometimes it's like not in your control whether you get the job or not. It's not because you're not a good artist. It's more of like just visa complications. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
But yeah, that's
so
it.
go ahead. Yeah. If you want to go ahead, Steph.
Awesome. So I got my first opportunity because I had a lot of friends at Cal State Fullerton, and I would go to their PMC club, the Pencil Mileage Club, and one of their panels, there was a recruiter, Matt Roberts, and I happened to give him one of the art books that me and my partner at the time were working on, and after like a few months later, he reached out if I wanted to apply for like a story training program at Disney. And so I was like, okay, like that sounds kind of cool. I'll apply to that. I applied. I didn't think I would get it just because I was studying character design. So it was very like, not like super different because it was storytelling, but I just wasn't studying that. But I was like, let me just take the chance. And luckily, like I got a chance to be part of that training program. And that was for like a year. And I got to learn everything about storyboarding with like my mentor that I got and other people that participated as well. And from there, like it just kind of snowballed opportunities after that program. Yeah.
And then you weren't studying at that time, were you, at Cal State Fullerton, right?
No, I was actually at community college here in Orange County, Orange Coast Community College. So I was studying narrative illustration, which was didn't have to do with anything animation, but it did teach you how like composition and basically like the fundamentals of story and drawing, which is something like, you know, everyone kind of should take and all that. So I was just kind of like doing that and studying on the side. So I would be doing like schoolism or Chris Oatley Academy to learn about character design and a little bit of storyboarding. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Cool.
And Lee?
Go Lee. Go.
Yeah, go Lee.
Go Lee.
Go Lee.
Go Lee, go. Yeah, so my first animation job was when I was a senior in college. I almost said high school.
That would have been wild.
Sure.
That would have been wild, right? Yeah, senior in college, I interned at Sesame Street. Yep, that Sesame Street. And how I got to Sesame Street, was at the time I was trying to get an internship because my school required me to have one in order to graduate. Can't explain why they did that. It's very pressuring. But yeah, at the time I was looking to apply to internships. I had just got a rejection from an internship I thought I had because I knew the people beforehand. It was in Boston because I went to school in Massachusetts, and I was heartbroken that I didn't get the internship. So I ended up talking to my mentor, who he's known me since I was like a baby. Not a baby, but baby. I was very young when we first met. And at the time, he was a character designer at Sesame Street, but now he's like the lead character designer or something like that.
Oh.
So I had asked him, like, how do you deal with rejection and all that stuff? And like, how do you get over that? And he gave me some really great advice that sometimes when a door closes, it means another one opens. Like, it's not, you know, the end of the world. It just happens. So I didn't know when he said that what was going to happen next. He already had like a lot of my work to begin with, since we've known each other for so long. And he actually was the one to recommend me to apply to the internship program at Sesame Workshop, is the name of the studio, way past the deadline. So I was incredibly lucky to interview for them. And then I got the call that I was selected while I was at a K-pop concert that my mom told me I couldn't go to. And if my mom is watching this, sorry, Mom, I didn't go to that K-pop concert. I'm alive, right? Yeah. And then I was an intern at Sesame Street. I primarily worked on doing animation revisions in Flash for like Elmo's World, or a lot of their like international stuff, because they have to translate things into different languages. So sometimes we have to like clean out all of the text in like the animations and stuff. But it was super cool. And then I graduated, and then I didn't get my next job until like 2 years after, which was Nickelodeon. So yeah.
Wow.
Not a bad leap.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's great though, because like again, just shows that like, because you've been in the industry now for like a while, for at least a good couple of years. So it's always kind of different, but like again, you seem like you've been getting a nice steady flow of work since then. So all three of you have been in the industry for quite a bit now. You guys are still very early on in the stages of your career, but now that you guys kind of been in it for like a small stint, what are some changes that you kind of want to see in the animation industry? And then Samia, we'll start with you.
I think a big thing that I felt like when I first graduated and went into the industry is the stress that you have to like overwork super hard just to like prove yourself, or prove to yourself and other people that you deserve this, to the point where it's not healthy. And I think it would be nice to like anyone new joining the industry to like have a talk with them that it's okay to struggle at the beginning. It's okay to like make mistakes. Like you don't need to get everything perfect immediately. And no one, like no human can do that. But I guess on us, and I don't know about like the rest of you, I felt like everything had to be correct. Like no mistakes. If I get any feedback, it means I failed. I suck. They're gonna fire me immediately.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's still like that. I have to like remind myself, like, Sammy, it's okay. Like you're human, you're working. But being a student and getting in the industry, it's like that mindset is really difficult. And I don't know if it's related because we like get graded during school. So in my head, like, oh, we're still being graded at work, which I guess to some degree, obviously, you know, you don't want to do like really bad work, but there's a level of balance that I think needs to be discussed with people joining any team, and making sure they're mentally like okay, not like struggling and hiding it at work. But yeah, I also love if anyone of you like have any things about that topic too specifically, because I'm still working on myself with that. Yeah,
just like bouncing off what you're saying, like I think it's important that to not feel like, because it is competitive, like to get a job in the animation industry, but I feel like we get so stuck in that like we like forget that it's a community, that we need to help each other. And I think that's what like the mental health comes in, where like, oh, I have to prove like my worth, and I have this job that like, am I good? I don't know, like I don't even know why I'm here. And it's just like a lot. And I think that's something definitely I would want to see like change in the process of like getting a job in the industry, or like being able to like give, I mean, there's mentorship programs, right? There's internships, but like you said, it's still competitive. Like you have to know somebody that helps you get that internship. And I feel like we're supposed to be helping each other out in that sense of like being more open, that it's okay if you're not at a level right now, like it just takes time and it's okay. So
Yeah, because I think a part of it does stem from, like you mentioned, Steph, that the process of getting a job, I think it starts all the way back into like the school aspect, that they sort of teach this competitive nature in the industry that is animation. And I too felt that way at some point, but now I'm in it and I'm like, oh, it's not that like cutthroat. It's not like Iron Chef or something.
Yeah.
Like we're normal people.
You're not gonna get chopped.
I'm not gonna
Okay.
get
And
chopped
I-
on Food Network.
Yeah.
And I think because we come from that from school, or like just like knowing that, we still have that in our mind when we're at work and we're like, oh
Yeah.
shit, like we gotta do the best or we're gonna get fired, or like they're gonna just grab somebody else and like replace us. You know, like
Oh my God.
it's just in our head and it's not okay.
Yeah.
So,
If you can, listeners, whoever you are, if you're still a student, just trust in the process. Don't be afraid to like build that community. And you know, have confidence. Although it takes a long time to build that up, like it's okay, take your time. We're all in this together. We make cartoons.
Exactly.
I guess to add on to that, because kind of like you guys were all saying, kind of trying to get out that competitive mindset and not wanting to fail, you'd be surprised how much your coworkers and stuff are willing to help you. Like, asking questions is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you suck. It doesn't mean that you're incompetent. It just means that like, yeah, you might not fully know, or you just want to make sure you're doing the job correctly, and then your coworkers or your supervisor will just jump in and be like, oh yeah, totally, let me help you out, or let me give you advice that from my experiences. And it's just like, asking questions is just never bad. It might feel intimidating because you might feel like, oh, they're gonna think I'm dumb, but asking a question is never gonna backfire on you. It's only gonna help you and help you make better work.
100%.
And I guess just to add on to that, of like getting everything perfect, especially in my first job, I was trying to get everything perfect, but that made me really slow, and I was like not meeting certain quotas at that time. And I'm really fortunate that like my crew was able to like we had enough time that it wasn't too big of an issue. But that's where it became a problem of like, I'm trying to make something that's like up to a perfect standard, or something that I would consider an A, like A quality work. But like, we just need it to go out the door. Like at that point, it just needs to get done.
Is there anything else, any other changes that any of you, Steph or Lee, that you guys would want to see as well?
I think personally for me, I started out in preschool and now I'm currently working like in adult. I've done a little bit of action, and I've noticed like the demographic of certain productions like drastically shift depending on like what it is, what genre it is. And I've noticed that when I was working at Sesame Street, it was like the most diverse place I've ever worked on. There was a lot of women of color on there, a lot of people from different gender identities, sexualities, and all that type of stuff. But then as I like went through like 6 to 11 to like adult, I've noticed that there's less of that type of diversity, which I would really like to see that, you know, storyboard artists, character designers, production people, coordinators, executives, showrunners, EPs. I would like to see that diversity like be in
Expanded.
that action, expanded in that action in like adult space, because right now it feels like it's like the same type of thing over and over again. And maybe that's why a lot of people from the outside feel like adult animation feels the same all the time. It's because like the people working on it might not be as diverse and inclusive as you think it would be. But that's something I particularly would love to see, because it always feels strange to like walk into a room and be like, oh man, I'm the only one who like looks like this. And it's kind of awkward. Because then you end up being like that person of like, oh, we want to write a character that's this. You are this as well. And it's
Everybody
like
in the
a,
room just turns to you and be like,
Yeah.
yeah,
okay.
it's like a weight on your
Yeah.
shoulders, but
Yeah.
you yourself is not the entire experience of like a whole entire
Mhm.
culture, a whole entire
Mhm.
sexual identity, gender identity. It's not a
Mhm.
monolith, like not you alone can explain the experience to somebody who just doesn't understand that, or it's just not that. So that's something I wish I could see a little bit more in the industry pertaining to like action in adult spaces. But that's just from my experience so far.
Mhm.
Yeah, as somebody who's worked on both like preschool and adult shows, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. It's kind of been similar in my experience. Maybe a little bit less on the animation team just because like of the studio that I worked at the time, but like on the executive level, like kind of
Mhm.
going up, especially,
Mhm.
it's totally
Mhm.
less diverse.
And hopefully we keep moving in that kind of expansive direction where there's more diversity in different parts of the pipeline and different like, seniorities. Because right now I feel like we're at the stage where the conversation's, still rolling, where they're trying to there's efforts from the studios to have more inclusive and diverse people in different roles, but right now we're still in that feeling of like we need to be that representation of our culture instead of just being a regular artist on a team.
Yeah.
So right. So hopefully eventually we can get over that hurdle and just be artists and not just artists that has to represent our culture just because we're
Yeah.
the only ones of that culture in the room.
Right.
It hurts every time.
Steph, did you want to add anything onto either this question or a change that you want to see in the animation industry?
No. I was just kind of like agreeing to both of them. I was kind of like, yeah, that. Yeah. Because like you said, Yuki, well, I think you had experience one studio that like they actually were diverse. So Sony is my first like feature film that I've been like surrounded with other people, and they are very diverse, especially like Spidey 2 right now. Like the team has been diverse from the beginning. So I think they've been doing a good job. And Sony, at what I've learned, has been always trying their best to like be diverse and bring in people, not just because like, oh, well, you'll relate to this. It's like we just want to hire like people that are different. So
that's cool.
Shout out to Sony.
Yeah, you're working on
I know,
Spider-Verse
shout out
too,
to
right?
Yeah, I'm on Spider-Verse. Yeah, but I've seen other teams were like in production in other movies. It like everyone was diverse. Like I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah, like around the studio, huh?
Yeah, and that's why I sad when like COVID hit, because then I didn't get to like interact with more people. I'm like, no.
No.
But I could see it. I was like, wow, like this is really cool. Like to see even like directors or like I would see like a lot of female directors. I'm like, wow, like that's so cool. It was
what a concept.
mind blowing. Yeah, no, but yeah, I'm just like, just shout out to Sony.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, let me get into another one of these questions here. Samia. So for our viewers watching, if you don't know, Samia was able to partner with Facebook and Oculus to create and direct a short film in VR, which was actually like animated and everything in VR. Like normally you would have to build models and then like rig them and animate them and stuff. But this was like painted with like Quill technology, right?
Yeah, it was. I put on the headset and I just go in the VR world and just like, I do this. I look like a crazy person if someone just walks next to me and they're like, what is she doing? Don't worry, just don't get in her like range. She doesn't like punch you or something. But that was me for like 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like being able to tell your story and direct the short film Katir Tayeb?
So when they first like reached out about it, I kind of panicked because I was like, wait, I'm not supposed to do my film until I'm at least 40 or 50 because I need to be experienced and ready. I was like, what? Don't pay me money. I don't know what I'm doing. The only film I did was in school, and now you want to like pay money to make me do a film. But then I have a mentor over there, Guru Fujita, who actually introduced me to Quill, and he was like, you should pitch for it, like go for it. Like you have a lot of personal stories that would be interesting. And initially I was pitching all these generic stories that I thought are cool. And because I was like not sure what I wanted to do, and I also like it was my first time actually doing something this big. So I was like, okay, let's go with the safer options, like the boring stories. And then one last minute story that I like pitched was about my love for food and like traveling and eating with different family and friends. And that was like my least favorite. Like I numbered it as number 5, I think. I was like, just a backup. And then Goro was like, this one, you're gonna pitch this one. I was like, oh, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, this is it. So I make like a pitch deck with just quick drawings and like an idea of what's about. And they like, perfect, do it. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. So I like call my friend, because at that time I didn't have any script or anything. I just had drawings and I was like, yeah, food and people, I guess. I call my friend who's like an amazing storyboard artist. And also we've known each other for a few years. I was like, Marilla, are you free? Please help me. I'll pay you. And then we started working on a script that initially was just a story about food and people. But as we were working on it, I started to realize that it was all connected to my experience growing up with my uncle, who like raised me a little bit alongside with like my dad and grandma to like go out and do new things. And he passed away 2 years before that happened. So it was kind of like a journey to like let out my feelings about it and like a healing process. And at the same time, I dedicated it for him. And the moment I realized that, it was kind of, I'm not sure what word to use, but it was like, oh my God, this feels like this is the thing I need to do. With that, like, it wasn't a struggle to get the story out because it was like just coming out on its own.
It was like an epiphany.
I guess so. It was like kind of like a release when you're like, oh, this is what I needed to do all this time. Why was I trying to pretend I'm someone else? Obviously,
Like
Morella
almost like
was,
euphoric, I guess. Euphoric.
yeah.
Cathartic.
Word, yeah.
And it was
Cathartic.
very scary because all my art before that time, it was either, doing it for the job, or my personal art was more of like I would always have a wall, so I would just draw things, but not really how, I would just hide my feelings. And then once we found like, okay, the core of the story, Mirella was like really amazing with, English is not my first language. So Mirella was like the best in actually helping me phrase things correctly. Cause I would just like dump on her like paragraphs of just like, this, I don't know. And then this happened and this happened and this happened. And then she would be like, okay, give me 1 week. And then she'll come back and then she'll show me a script. And I'm just like, oh my God, thank you. You exist. This is exactly what I wanted to say, but you said it in 2 sentences. And then she would draw like her beautiful art. So yeah, so I guess just to finish it up so I don't take too long, the script and the story took 4 months to like actually finalize. And then doing the actual work like in VR was a month. Like I did not expect that to happen. I thought I would be working more in VR, but actually doing the story was like the intense hard part. And I think part of it is because it was like related to my uncle, and I was like still like, processing it and like recovering from it. And it was kind of like therapy. Yeah, that's the word. It was like
part of your grieving.
Yeah.
Getting that
And then
story out.
Once it was out and I was like showing it to like my grandma, like, his mom and like his wife and like my cousins and stuff. And I didn't realize that it was going to make people cry, because he actually shows up at the end, and then you're like having a meal with him and I'm like talking over it. And that was like another thing that made me feel really happy. Not to make people cry, but like that they can experience him, like sitting with him again in VR and like feel like they're having a meal with him. So
Beautiful.
I'm like, no, don't cry. I was like, okay, you don't need to be 50 or 40. I don't know why I have those numbers in my head to make a good film. You just have to dig deep, really deep, and don't like worry about like what's in your head, like, oh, this is what makes it look cool. No, just dig deep, like raw emotions. At least that's my advice. And I'm hoping I can like do this again for my future project. I have like notes on my I keep like sticky notes on my Cintiq to kind of remind me of that moment when that happened, and I was like, oh, that was actually good. Like, you're doing it for yourself, not for pleasing other people. And again, Oculus Facebook, they had no like directions or like no feedback. They were just like, wow, this is perfect. So it helped me not like feel like I need to judge myself or change the story. I just told it as I wanted to be told.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and
Really
if you have an
awesome.
Oculus headset, you can watch it. Just like look up my name and it will show up.
Okay.
Yeah. And especially like it's doing well in the film circuit. It recently got accepted into Ottawa as well, which is so cool.
Yeah, and it's actually going to be in 2 more film festivals this coming weeks, one in New York and one in here in the Bay, the Arab Film Festivals. And I'm like so excited because I was like, wow, more people get to see it.
Congratulations.
Yeah. it's
Thank
Yeah,
you.
great.
congrats.
Thank you.
So to shift focus a bit, Steph, you are currently working on the highly anticipated sequel, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2. We also know that you were one of the first board artists that was brought on to the team. What has it been like storyboarding in the Blue Sky phase on a feature film? And then for those that don't know, Blue Sky doesn't refer to the former studio. It refers to like early conceptual phase of a project where ideas are being brainstormed and the skies are like blue with endless possibilities.
Right. It was actually really awesome. I think it was me and my other coworker. We were the only 2 story artists at the beginning. And it was really fun to just be able to like be in that state, like that blue sky state, because we were able to do like thumbnailing and not thumbnailing, b-boards, and like help sort of like create the story or like help them like visualize before even like starting storyboarding like a sequence. So it's really cool to experience that and also be like in the room with the directors and seeing like the development of like visual development as well. And it was a really good experience of just like seeing the inside of like what goes behind the scenes before like any of the script is like ready. So it was pretty fun. I think I learned a lot from just that like maybe first 6 months of just being in the blue sky state. But yeah, it was intimidating too, because literally like I was looking at old boards from the first one and I'm like, so I'm gonna do this. This is what they want. And I'm like, but it's fine. Like this is the blue sky state. Like I can just learn right now before like, and you know, we're on fire and we have to like get all the boards done. So yeah.
For the beat boards, is that more like in depth than a storyboard, or is it just like ideas you guys are hashing out?
Yeah, it's just more of like instead of like boarding out the character like moving, it would just be like beats of like, oh, like this is how emotional I kind of want this, almost even like illustrating it, but we didn't go like that in depth. Because then it's just like this that things that I would have been like, yeah, let's just color. But yeah, it was just kind of like, don't board the whole thing, just beat it out and like, you know, help us like figure out how we can tell like Miles' story in this other version of it.
Yeah, like
So
how to visualize certain key moments of
yeah,
like the
yeah.
scenes or the scripts.
Because it would just kind of help them like filter out things that like they don't want to use or would or like spark their ideas. So it was really fun to just be able to help out like the directors and writers and even like Viz stuff too. So it's kind of cool to later on be able to see all that stuff like using it. So yeah.
No, that's really, really great. And then for obviously you don't have to go in detail and know like just NDA stuff, but from what we know about like working in animation, how much of the initial stuff has been like thrown out? Because like especially with storyboards, things are put on the wall then taken down a lot.
Yeah, I think like definitely since this is my first like feature, I learned to like not fall in love with my boards. So definitely like that first year, a lot of my boards are probably not going to see like nobody's going to see them probably until like years from now. But that's normal because that is like the pipeline of like things will just keep changing and they keep changing till probably the very end, depending on the production. But that's just how feature is. And but it's kind of cool. You learn to you're just boarding, you're just helping out, like visualize for the directors. So yeah, I hope did I answer that right?
Yeah,
no,
I kind of like I was like, wait.
Great.
Yeah.
Excited for the film. Do you think you'll stay in feature film, or like do you think you'll move on to like television or something fast paced?
I feel like I think I want to stay in feature just because I get the time to like board for longer time. TV scenes. I mean, if I get the opportunity, yeah, I'm like if I get a chance to do for TV, like I think it would be awesome just to experience that fast paced. You're like Lee's like no, like no.
Like yeah.
It's a different process because like I have a friend who has been working in TV for a while, and storyboarding, and he'll be like, yeah, like you know, the story artist like gives you the stuff and then you just board out. You know, like you're just it's already there for you, but you have to clean up and like be done with it like soon. And for feature, it's like here's like, you know, 3 pages of script. I'll give you like maybe 2-3 weeks or like 2 weeks. But it could be rough. We're just gonna show it to you, and then we just continue editing and and then yeah. But that's like very so like that blue sky. Not to go back, but like that blue sky is very much like that. It's very like chill until we have to start like showing screenings, and that's when they're like, you gotta draw faster. I'm like, oh god. And then like that's the fastest.
It has to look
like,
pretty now. People are gonna see it.
Yeah, they're like, are you done? Here's more. I'm like, oh god. But no, it's all good. It's just that's how just the process of it for like features. So, yeah. Lee's like,
I wish I could be that could be me.
Come to the dark side, okay? No.
Oh,
Here,
I
no.
thought TV
light,
was the dark side.
I mean the light. Sorry, my bad. Okay.
Nah, I love TV.
Yeah.
I do
think
love
like
it.
the fun. Sorry, but the fun thing about TV is that you can move from like TV show to TV show, right? Like if you get a chance to, and you know, feature you stay there for like 2-3 years, which is cool too, because it's like you have a job for that long, but you just stay in that one like movie
Project.
for that long project.
Yeah.
So.
If you don't mind like the quickness of it, which I don't mind because I like getting things done, but also having the ability to just like be on different productions, meet new people, learn different pipelines because each production's different, then TV is for you.
Yeah.
Kind of changing often.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time, yeah. Which is cool because you can change styles. Like that's, you know, like I think that's a really cool skill to have.
Yeah, but so. the down part to it is like if you work on a show and it's like Family Guy style, and then you move to a show that's like Studio Mir style, it'll take you the entirety of your contract to learn how to draw the character.
No.
So by the time you learn, your contract is over.
It's funny because I feel like that like right now too, like it took a while, like Marvel, probably a year for me to just be like, oh, I know how to draw Spider-Man now. I'm like, that's so cool. It only took me a year. Yeah, but it's crazy. That's so sad. You're like, wow, I can draw this character. You're like, here's a new show. You're like, what?
Yeah, it's the end of the show.
Back at square one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, speaking of, you know, switching styles and switching gears even, Lee, you're working on several independent projects. Some of them are just for fun, you know, like your Power Rangers Go project that you have your poster that you printed of your own project. So cool. Yeah, Power Rangers Go that you eventually want to pitch like, or Hollowville as a webcomic, or I don't want to be the protagonist. All of these different things that you're working on, constantly posting on Twitter, which is great. But where does this passion for all of your independent projects come from? And also, where do you find the time? Do you have, this is Ray's joke, do you have a hyperbolic time chamber that we don't know about?
I need this.
First off, I love the deep cut of I don't want to be the protagonist because I made that tweet as a joke. And now people pressured me into making it.
It's always that way, isn't it?
It is, yeah. To answer the second part of the question, how do I find the time? I have a planner. I plan out every single hour of my day. Unfortunately, for those who cannot see, I am now currently holding up my planner with our time slots of things I do throughout the day in a week.
Wow.
So detailed.
Wow. Yeah.
I like that everyone went like, what? Like,
Yeah, we're all like,
Oh.
A planner.
the secret was planning all along.
Yes. No, I developed that habit in college because I would take like 5 to 6 classes each semester. So I
Wow.
just needed to learn how to like time manage. So it'd be like from 12 to 2 p.m. you're only going to do this. Once it's 2 p.m. you stop working on it, you move on to the next thing. And if there's any extra time at the end of the day, I would go back to anything that would I didn't get to finish. So that's how I usually do things throughout my day. But yeah, as far as passion goes, what is passion? I think my passion is a mix of like being inspired by people around me, whether it's like family or friends or peers, or like working on other people's projects. Because outside of my own, I do work on like indie projects and stuff. I'm currently working as a freelance 2D animator on an indie pilot called Farfetch, the Farfetch show. If you know the people from Has Been Hotel, I think one of the writers and the cleanup animators, they're making their own pilot, and I'm working on their pilot, their independent pilot, Farfetched, as like a 2D animator. So getting to do stuff like that is also really cool because it kind of inspires me to do my own stuff. And then the last part of it is just always wanting to learn, I guess. And that's what kind of pushes my passion of like, oh man, how do you composite a really complex scene in After Effects and make it look like really, really good? And then you sit for several hours in front of YouTube trying to figure out how to make a text do this. And you're like, I did it. Yeah, the passion is a lot of factors at the end of the day. And it really just comes down to like wanting to make the shows that I wish I had growing up as a kid, because there wasn't a lot of like multiracial characters who came from like the inner cities, who didn't have the perfect nuclear family or like wasn't straight. But yeah, it all is a combination of all those things. If that answers the question.
Yeah, totally.
No, you did. Yeah. I'm glad that your solution isn't a hyperbolic time chamber, but a planner.
Yeah, I wish there was like a time machine, but there's not a time machine.
The planner is the time machine, you guys.
That's the big brain.
It's all
the big
there.
brain move.
It's all there.
You can just order on the Amazon. You know.
Just send the link, guys. Just send the link, please.
So like another
We're
question.
sponsored now. Actually, use our link to buy the planner.
That's great. But yeah, a general question that I kind of want to ask now, because I think all of you guys touched on it a bit, mentioned it briefly, and I think this is definitely like a question that a lot of students or the people that kind of want to enter in the industry tend to ask. But I kind of want to throw it out there as like to all of you, is that what are your thoughts about education when trying to pursue a career in animation? So I'll throw this to Samia, if you want to jump in.
I think when I was pursuing the career in animation, I needed to apply for a college here in the States so I can get the visa. But I feel like if, at least for me, because I love studying, if I was already here and I had my citizenship or green card, I would have probably chosen the route of taking online classes, because that way I can pick and choose exactly what I was interested in. Not that I'm saying my education was not helpful, but there was a lot of classes that I was like, I'm spending a lot of money on this and it's not gonna matter. Or I like all the GE I had to take here. I basically studied it in high school back home, but they were like, nope, you're taking it all over again. So it would have been nice if I was able to focus my time more on picking and choosing those classes on my own time. But that definitely will take away the part where, you know, you're working with friends, you're meeting people. Like that is one of my favorite parts also from going to a school in person.
No, that's great. No, that's definitely like a fair response. So everybody's like a little bit different. What about you, Steph? Because I know
Yeah,
you also had a unique trajectory as well, where
right.
you went the community college route.
I was just like, I was remember the question the way you worded it, and so I was like spacing out. What was the question though?
Oh, what are your
I know it
thoughts
was
about
about
education
school.
when trying to
Okay,
pursue a career in
right,
animation?
right. Yeah, so like I initially did want to go to art school,
Mm.
and I did, but I found out like just at the time financially, like I just couldn't afford it, and it was just like because when I graduated high school, like I started college right away, and so like I didn't really know what like I was gonna do if transfer or like study graphic design because my parents were like just do that because it's safe kind of thing,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I'll just like transfer to like art schools, but all the art schools that were close by were just really expensive, and I was still really young. I was like 18, 19 when I was like during that time. So I transferred to Laguna College, and I really like I looked it up a lot, and I actually really like wanted to go to that school, and I finally did. But it turns out like it was just I was there for 8 weeks. It was super expensive. I was like, man, like I'm spending a lot of money, and not a lot of the classes I took in community college transferred as well. And so I'm like, this kind of sucks that I have to pay like a lot more money for like life drawing or like the fundamental classes. And I was like, I think I'm just gonna go back to community college. So I dropped out from like art school and just went back to community college. So I guess I would say like if you are able to like afford art schools or have that opportunity and privilege, like I feel like do that, go for it. But if not, like and especially now, there's so many different ways of like getting your art education, whether it be online or like community colleges, or just like seeing that entertainment is rising. So yeah, I feel like there's many different paths to study art. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. No, I totally feel that. I also went to community college, and when I transferred to San Jose State, where Ray and I studied, also none of my credits transferred because of certain reasons, but it was like yeah, I mean, luckily I was in a situation where like I was able to afford the full time at university, but like that's totally like a real concern for a lot of people, like is to either like pay it or like take on a bunch of debt, which is something that follows you for like many years even after you get what you're working so hard to achieve. So that's totally awesome that you were able to like drop out of university to pursue your path in animation like in a way that worked for you. And I think that there are a lot of things available, like you said, right now, like online, just going to just going to the pencil mileage club even though you weren't there,
like
but like
into
networking with friends and like hanging out.
And when I mean I made like a community there in community college too. Like I met some of my closest friends there, so I agree with Samaya. Like community in school like is really important too, so definitely like being in person is like good.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the great things I enjoyed about school, just the community and the relationships that I built.
Was it the most expensive friends I have?
Yeah,
one of our guests said.
Everybody I met is the most expensive investment and friends that I've ever made.
Oh my god,
of course.
That was like Andrew or something.
And then Lee, what about you?
What do I think about education and how that plays a part in pursuing a career in animation?
Yes.
Oh, I think it's funny because I think I have the most like straight like straight ahead pathway like to getting my job. Like they tell you like you go to college, you get the job, and that's it. Like I pretty much had that experience, but I've seen so many people not have that experience that I honestly think like the word education is like it's always confined in like a college institution sort of thing, but education is so much more than just like going in and out of a building and all that stuff. So I think as long as you're I think as long as you're like learning the skills that you need to know and building the community that you'll be working with, like the friends and stuff, that goes a long way. I am an advocate of not going into debt. As
Yes.
somebody who has student loan debt, and even then, like I have it way easier than other people. Thank God, but I've seen what it can do. So I think education is great if you want to be in animation and learn and stuff, but you don't always have to go to like the SVAs and the Cal Arts, even though the environment would help you, your community. You can still do your schoolism brainstorm, the most recent like rad how to class courses online. You'd be surprised how like many Discord communities you could find where like people are just like trying to improve their skills. Like what are they called, the warrior painters or something like that?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
they just do
there's
like
so many Facebook groups that are like that. That are just
Yeah.
building small communities in specific disciplines, just kind of network, but also build up on a skill.
Yeah, I think like if you can't afford school, then try and find those avenues as well. Like learn as much as you can working within, you know, the resources or like financial state you're in. Because as long as you have the skills and experience, of course, it's a different case for like international people because of visa situations. But if you're like in America and you want to work in American animation, you don't always need to put yourself into debt to follow your dreams or achieve your dreams. You just have to be a little bit more creative how you get to your goal. So yeah, that's it.
And then before we officially wrap up, just one quick question from the chat that we got that I want to throw out to you guys. So like rapid fire almost. Sorry, I lost the question. I found it. Who are all of your favorite animators or like artists? So Samia, go.
My favorite animator / artist is Satoshi Kon. If you're not familiar with his work, please go watch Paprika. It's the best. Yes, that's all I'm gonna say.
Wow, Samia,
Good shout though.
He's so good.
I'm like blinking out on the people that I like.
I'm having a hard time here.
Like it's like in character design, I definitely love like I'm gonna say his name so wrong. Nicholas Marley. Is that how you say his last name? Yeah. He did like Kung Fu Panda and like
Oh no, his art's so good.
Yeah, his art is like I was heavily influenced by him because I love drawing animals. And David Coleman, like his stuff is awesome too. Joe Moisture, I'm probably saying it wrong too, but he did awesome character design stuff. Like those are some of my favorite like artists. And I can't think of story artists right now because I'm blanking out. It's just too fast. Go, Lee. I don't know. I'll think of someone.
Just pass it.
Am I allowed to list off a studio instead? Because there's so many animators in my head right now that I feel like I need to just say the studios. Okay. Kyoto Animation. I love Kyoto Animation. Hands down, best character acting, I believe, because they just know how to make things look like that are mundane beautiful. And next would be Science Saru. Absolutely always killing it visually. They're like, it's just different. They currently have an anime right now called Heike Story, which is like a historical anime, and it looks like a watercolor painting. I don't know how to describe it outside of that. So awesome. Science Saru and Kyoto Animation, two of my favorite animation studios with some of my favorite directors and animators, character designers, compositors, background painters. Like, go check them out. Yeah.
I absolutely love like looking at compositing, especially in anime, where it's like a really big part of their pipeline. I think it's in some pipelines here it is, but like
no, it's
not as much, I think. Yeah.
It's a whole thing. If you ever like on Twitter, one of the compositors for the newest Gundam Hathaway film, Kentaro Waki, I believe that's how you say his name. He posted like a breakdown of one shot, and it was like 60 layers for compositing in After Effects. Wow. But it was so amazing to see it from before and after. So they really appreciate the compositing and take their time with it. which is something I always try to achieve, but
Yeah.
After Effects is crazy. I can't. Still learning.
Well, as much as we want to keep going, we do have to start wrapping up.
Oh.
But before we do, where can our audience on Twitch find each of you?
Are we going in order or are we
Sammy.
We'll go ahead with
Are we
Sammy
going in order?
first.
Oh yeah, sorry, my fault.
That's okay.
You can find me on Instagram under Samsumful. This is a weird nickname my cousin gave me like 10 years ago, and I'm kind of stuck with it by now. But it's SAMSOOMFUL. It was supposed to be from beautiful, but then he made up the name and called me Samsumful. He's just, yeah, that's where it comes from.
You know what? I always, for some reason, when I think of your name, Samsumful, I was like, a spoonful. So like
Yeah,
eating.
I guess that works too. I don't know. He was just like singing and making up random names. I was babysitting him at the time, and yeah, it stuck. So now I can't change it. It's too late.
I like it. It's
That's
cute.
great. Yeah.
So you guys can find me on Instagram as Steph _Oble, OBLE. Actually, no, that's wrong. It's Rizo now. I'm giving you an old one. Yeah, so it's Steph _RIZO. And on Twitter, I believe I'm Steph Oble. On that
Okay.
10, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm only on Twitter and Instagram. So yeah.
And then Lee, take us
Awesome.
home.
Steph almost pulled like the old phone number trick when you don't want somebody to call you later.
Oh, don't follow me. So here's my old one.
Honestly, because there's only apparently one Li Cree in existence on the internet, you can just Google me and find all my socials like immediately. But usually I'm just like Li Cree on Twitter, Instagram. My website is Li Cree. So
On
just
Twitter, you got
Google Li
the-
Cree.
The 38 SR is
Oh.
like your actual handle.
It is my actual handle because it stands for strontium on the periodic table. It's my favorite element because when you burn it, it's red for
Whoa, that's
pyrotechnics, aka fireworks. I just never
Oh.
changed it, but usually, like if you type in Li Cree in Google, my Twitter is the first thing that pops up. So it's like, just Google me.
Now you all know the secret reason behind the 38.
Yeah, so many
Yeah.
people ask why, and I'm like, it's just the 38th element on the periodic table. I'm a nerd.
It's not that deep, but you've solved my chemistry puzzle. Well, special thanks again to Alyssa Askew and Alyssa Jones for helping us run the panel here on Geek Girl Con. Thank you to Marina Martinez and all of the rest of the Geek Girl Con staff for putting this together. Another special thanks to our editor, Ashley Itleong, who was helping us in the background. Thank you, Ashley. You're the best. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at straightaheadap. And if you guys have like suggestions for future guests or anything like that, you can email us at straightaheadpodcast@gmail.com.
And a final
Yeah, I
thank
think
you
that's it.
to all of our panelists who have a bright future straight ahead. Please enjoy the rest of Geek Girl Con Line and check out their virtual expo, the virtual expo hall. Bye and take care, everybody. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.